Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. We've got a really interesting build today. Here we have a Hot Wheels Jeepney. This is called the Road Bandit. Now, these vehicles are really popular over in the Philippines and over in Southeast Asia. They're mostly used as taxi cabs, etc. I have a friend of mine up in Virginia, West Virginia area that actually happens to be a funeral director, and he got a hold of me a while back, and I do apologize for the lateness, but he says, you know, I'd like you to make a hearse out of this Jeepney. And I says, sure, I'll give it a try, why not? So let's go ahead and start turning this Hot Wheels Road Bandit into a serious looking hearse. Let's move on. Here we've got the casting. I've already drilled out the post, and we're just going to look at the parts a little bit here. Here we go. I'm going to strip the chrome off this, and I'm also going to open up the side windows of this vehicle so you can see inside a little bit better. So I'm going to be cutting the sides down. I'm also going to be taking off the engine, which I don't want this to be a hot rod. I want it to be a semi-serious vehicle here. We're going to remove the chrome off of everything, so that's not really going to matter too much. We're going to cut the back end out to make it wider to be able to see the windows in the back. That'll look pretty neat. And then we're going to fabricate like a panel to cover up the engine area where we cut out the engine. So we got a lot of work cut out for us here, excuse the pun, and we're going to turn this Jeepney into a hearse. We're also going to do a wheel swap. We're going to put some real riders on there, but I'm picturing white walls. We're also going to trim up the glass. Let's go ahead and move on. I've got my Dremel with my cutting disc. We're going to go ahead and cut off that engine as flat as possible. You just want to make sure that when you go to cut something off like this, that it's not going to affect the rigidity of the actual interior, you know, the support of the vehicle. So be careful when you're cutting things off, and also make sure you don't cut off too much, which is where I was going with this. I love this battery-powered Dremel. The things are fantastic, and you don't have a cord you got to worry about. It's cutting it, but yeah, it's literally melting it, though, in the first place. Now we're just going to have to file that down and make it as flat as possible. That's looking pretty cool. Maybe get my razor knife and go in there and cut it up a little bit. Yep, got a little bit more that we can take down. That's looking good. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I used the same cutting disc, and I widened out the window so you can see inside the vehicle a little bit better, and I did that on both sides. Then I took a file and some sandpaper and trimmed it down. That's going to look cool for what I have in mind. That's how I widened up the back end too. Let's go ahead and move on. Here's the panel I was talking about to cover the engine. Once we get that fit in and sanded down and glued into place, we'll take a little bit of putty or some glue and we'll fill in the little holes that are left over. Now the sides are looking pretty cool. Still got to figure out what I want to do for that back end. But that's looking nice. So far so good. Let's go ahead and move on. Here we're going to do the tire swap. Here's the tires that were there. Okay, well, they don't do too much. But I got these Real Riders here, and I test fitted them already. I want to put the white walls on there because, like I said, I want to give this vehicle a little bit of class. That's looking really sweet. That's going to look nice on that vehicle. I want to paint the whole vehicle white and maybe do some silver or gold trim. That's going to look really cool. Now here I've got some sheet polystyrene. And what I want to do is I want to put some curtains inside the windows. So I cut a few pieces and I trimmed them to fit inside those little brackets that are on the inside of the car there, in the front and in the back. I'll have to cut 2 pieces of equal size. I'll have to cut out the excess for the wheel well. And then, like I said, I want to put some curtains in here. So I made like curtain shapes. And also a draped curtain on the top. So let's take a razor knife and we'll cut that out. Here's one side that I've already completed. Now I also took the back side of the knife and I put some grooves. It looks like folds or pleats in the curtains. Look how nice that fits up in there. We'll paint those a different color to offset it from the white that I plan on for this vehicle. I don't know if I'm going to paint them a gold or what yet, but we'll see. That's looking really, really cool. Here we're going to put the body in the embalming fluid. Kind of appropriate to carry that in a hearse. Make sure you get the inside and the outside because we're definitely going to do a color change here. Let that excess drip off. Or take a brush and brush it off, whichever you prefer. There we go. Big chunks of that falling off. We'll put that on a tray. We'll let it set for a while. And we'll get back to it when the paint has bubbled off. Let's move on.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
Here I've got the Jeepney. I've put the panel in and glued it in place, and I also got some putty in there in the holes and in the areas to round off the edges. So we'll sand that down. We'll make sure that we sand down the edges of the vehicle also because we're going to go ahead and give it a coat of white primer. But this is exactly where I wanted to go with this vehicle. It's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy painted. Here I've got some Tamiya surface primer. And we're going to spray paint this white. We'll get right back to you. This is after we spray painted it white. We're going to have to let that set for a while so it gets hard. But this is exactly what I was going for. Now what's really cool about this is if you want to, you don't have to spray it gloss white. I just used some clear coat over the top of this because that's going to be the final color of this car is white. Here we've got the interior. I made this little platform because I'm going to need a place to put the casket. Now here's a casket that my friend Grizz from Bearcat 3D Designs made. And we're going to have to paint that up. But that fits in there absolutely perfect for what I want to do. I contemplated cutting out that post in the back, but I decided after all not to. But it works out pretty good in the end. Now it's time to put the interior panels in. I went ahead and I painted the curtains gold and I put a little streak of red in there to look like there was a red cinch of cloth holding the curtains back. I'm using regular Testors model cement and I'm going around the edges of the brackets and around the top of the roof and the bottom here. And we're going to go ahead and put the panels in the car and then let them set for a bit to harden up. There's no rules when it comes to customizing a car. It's literally up to your ideas here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to future videos that come out. And the best part about subscribing, folks, is that it's free. Now you're already here watching the video, so go ahead and click on that subscribe button. That really helps me out. So put the panels in, and make sure that they're fitting flat, and then let that set for a bit. That's looking really good. This is definitely coming together the way I wanted to. We're still going to have to do some detailing on the headlights and on the interior, so that's coming up here pretty quick. This is really starting to come together. I'm having fun. Now here's the interior, and here's the detailed casket. That looks really good. And like I said, I got this from Bearcat 3D Designs. That's looking excellent. A little bit of that modeling cement on the plastic and on the bottom of the casket, and put that in place. We'll let that set and dry. This is going to be fun. I'm really enjoying this. Looking good. Let's go ahead and move on. Now we got to clear coat that body. I've got it back in the paint booth. I'm using the airbrush to blow the dust off the car just to make sure that there's no residual on there. Make sure you get on the undersides of the car and in the fender wells, etc. Yes, even with the clear coat. You want everything protected here. Give it a nice light mist coat, just like you're doing the tack coat, and give it time to set up. Once you get the whole thing covered with the mist coat, let it set for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then come back in, give it some more light coats, and then finish off with a saturation coat. Just make sure that there's no runs in the clear coat or the paint when you're doing it. This build has been a lot of fun. My friend's been waiting for this for quite a while, but I've been so backed up with my regular job and other stuff that's going on. But I finally got to this, and I got some ideas and some inspirations and things, and this is going to be beautiful. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking good. Let's let this set overnight, and then we'll get everything together. Now here's all the parts. We got the body with the detail there. That looks good. We got the curtains in there. Look at that. That looks nice. That looks really nice. I did go back in and touch up that gold line on the inside. But look at the folds in the curtain and everything. And I just used the back side of the knife to accomplish this. That looks really cool. I'm very, very happy with that. Here's the base with the wheels. These white wall Real Riders add a touch of class to this. Now I did replace the glass and I painted the back end because I wanted to be able to see the casket. Here's the casket all fixed up. We trimmed it up in silver the areas I wanted to. And we did the tail lights up in red. Let's put it together and have our reveal. And here's what we started with. A Hot Wheels Road Bandit Jeepney. Like I said, these cars are very popular over in the Philippines and over in Southeast Asia. They use them mostly as taxis, but there are some over there that they use as hearses and other types of vehicle transportation, such as delivery vehicles, etc. This is a vehicle that is very, very common over there. My friend says, you know, I like these cars, but can you make me a serious looking hearse? So I took the hot rod aspect out of it. We stripped it down, we did a wheel swap, we painted it up, we detailed it up with the interior and the casket and the glass and everything, and we put the curtains in there with the polystyrene, and we opened up the windows so you could see inside a little bit better. And you know what, man? I had a lot of fun doing this. This was definitely a really fun project. Super cool. And this is the results. Look at how cool that looks. Like I said, I debated on whether to cut out that rear post or not, and I decided not to because I wanted the support. But look at the detail on here. We detailed the headlights and the grille and everything. We did the curtains in there. We painted the interior black. Actually, we left the interior black from when we dipped it in the Super Clean. And we polished everything up, and this is the final result. This was really cool. I really enjoyed this. Now, like I said, folks, you can do this stuff too. I've got an Amazon Marketplace page. Now, if you go to visit, the link is in the comments. And if the link doesn't work, just copy it and paste it, and it'll take you to my Amazon page area. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can buy to help with your hobby. And if you have any questions about anything, or if you happen to have questions about your hobby, write something in the comments and I'll answer you back. So please like, share, and subscribe this video. And this has been a lot of fun. Check out Bearcat 3D Designs. Grizz does some fantastic work, and he's got a lot of stuff to offer, so please go check out his webpage. I want to thank you for joining me here today on Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Had a wonderful build with you. Please check out my Patreon page also. There's a lot of folks that help me out, and I want to thank them all, but my gosh, there's so many of them. But please check out my Patreon link and become a Patreon team member. I sure could use the help. Happy 2021 and cheers.